All right, so thank you all for coming on time today. So today we are going to go through the grammar components of the paper, starting with page 162, the grammar MCQ, right? So as you can see, we've already begun for the first 4 questions, right, before I hit the record button, but I'll repeat myself again. For question number 1, right, when Benny, right, is living in Italy, various ones have mentioned that the word met tells you that the entire sequence of events occurred in the past. And the word before tells you that it's sequential, right? So something happens before something else. So in this case, right, if you look at all of the tense items, right, only number 3 fits because had is in the past tense, right? And the idea that had been living, right, before he met his wife is something that we've learned in tense structures. Before and since always bridges to a span of time, had been living a span of time in the past, right? Then for question number 2, we looked at how every Thursday is a repeated action, and therefore the only tense that fits is the simple present tense because it deals with facts and repeated or habitual items. In this case, the habitual action is the maid cleaning the room every Thursday, and therefore is, being the simple basic present tense form, is the only tense form that fits this response, right? Then for question number 3, we're looking at a co-located preposition, meaning when you're accused, you're always accused of. You're never accused in any other preposition form. It's always accused of. In the case of changing the meaning, for example, you are accused by, right? So when you are accused of something, is always of. When you're accused by someone, is always by. So the prepositions co-located next to accused is very limited. You can't use any preposition you like, right? That's the principle of co-located prepositions. Then for number 4, we looked at how there are certain patterns that occur in verb forms. When we have a 3-verb form, it is usually followed by a 2-verb form. And when we have a 2-verb form, it is usually followed by a 1-verb form, right? So in this case, it's a 3-2 pattern. And then we were discussing how the use of the word have, would have been, or would not have been, is correlated to the had not slept as a response. So very often verbs are correlated by their forms. In this case, have and had are very similar in forms. Therefore, they tend to occur one after another. That was the pattern pointed out by one of you, right, when we were responding to this. The other way to look at it is about certainty, right? Because it's a modal, right? Would not have been late, right? It's a modal. It is something that expresses degree of certainty about things happening, right? And in this case, Peter would not have been late if he had not slept. Had not slept expresses a possible but hypothetical situation. If he had not slept. If he had not slept, did not actually happen, right? It was just something that you hypothetically think about in order for that other possibility to take place. So in this case, if it's a modal with a certain degree of certainty, right? In this case, would not have been, then I need to express a hypothetical or possible future. In this case, had not slept. It cannot be any of the other options because they do not express a hypothetical future. Okay, so that's question number 4. Let's move on. Question number 5. Okay, them, I would say, is the clue, right? Now, going on my own is a second clue. So this obviously tells me that it is one person going to the dentist ultimately, right? So them tells me that there is more than one person at the beginning. So which of the answer is correct? This is very easy. I'll just ask somebody. Okay, Shijie, can you tell me what's your answer for question 5?
4.
Sorry?
4.
4, right? Thank you. Right, because it's a negative, right? Because this is, I shall go on my own, right? So that means 0 of them, right? 0 of them agreed to accompany, therefore I need to go by myself, right? So the answer is number 4. Absolutely correct. Let's go on to question number 6. Okay, I saw, right? I saw the mischievous boy wipe down the hand railings of the school staircase. Can anyone spot what is the verb pattern here? Anyone tell me what rule or pattern I can use? Solomon?
Verb, noun, verb. And then
yes, thank you. You're absolutely right, right? So this is verb. This entire fragment here, the mischievous boy, is a noun, right? Is a noun phrase, right? This entire fragment here is the noun. And then this becomes the verb. So when you see a pattern like verb, noun, verb, right? This can only be 2 things. It can only take 2 forms of verbs. One is the base form, right? Which is the verb without any additional forms. No ing, no ed, no s, nothing. It's just like the basic form of the verb without any additions. No prefixes, no suffixes added to it. The other form actually is the what? The what? Nicholas? Nicholas, go ahead, quick.
Present continuous.
You don't say present continuous, because present continuous always has a verb attached to it. It's the what? The ing form, right? The continuous form. It's the continuous form, just the ing form, right? So you don't have any other verb, you only have the ing word, okay? So I saw the mischievous boy, glide or gliding. Both forms are accepted in this case. And since there is no gliding, the answer is obviously number 1. Okay, so remember, glide is the base form, okay? And then gliding is the continuous form. Okay, so only the base and continuous forms are acceptable in this case. Question number 6. So that's pretty straightforward. Number 7.
Mr. Bali, question.
I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Like, is it likely for them to give both the base and continuous forms for
Oh, no.
such questions?
Yeah, that will never happen. Because when they give you both, right, that means that both are permissible. Then there are 2 possible answers. That will never happen in PSLE. Remember, in PSLE, right, there is only ever 1 possible answer, right? Even for closed passage, right, they will always try to set the question such that very minimal variations, right? There won't be that many possible answers. So the answer should be quite clear from the clues that are given. Okay, yeah, so they will never give you both the base form and the continuous form as options. It will either be one or the other. Okay, because both can fit in this case, right? So cannot be more than one answer, right? So, right, no problem. So number 7, right? Talking about the hilarious incident, right? So this is a hilarious incident. Therefore, the person bursts out laughing. It's actually a very logical step, right? This is not a connector of contrast. It's a connector of consequence. Okay, so can you just describe there? It's a consequence. If you share something funny, someone will laugh. It's a consequence. Okay. Okay, so it's definitely not going to be all the connectors of contrast, right? So you can go ahead and cross out, right? Although, right? And despite, because these are connectors of contrast, right? These two are contrasting. They tell you that something happened even though it's not supposed to. That's a connector of contrast, right? So in this case, it's a connector of consequence. And if I notice that there's consequence happening, I can immediately process of elimination, right? Take away the contrasting connectors. Let's see. Who have I not called yet? Okay, Heidi, can you give me the answer to this, please?
Number 2.
Number 2, very good. Thank you very much. Okay, so while talking, while tells you that something happened at the same time as something else as a cause of it. Okay, so the connector of consequence while is correct. Okay, not since, because since is talking about a point in time, right? It's not talking about 2 things happening at the same time. So definitely not since, right? So I can cancel that out. And by process of elimination or by best fit, I can come to question answer number 2. All right. Number 8. Okay. This is pretty straightforward. Let's see. I'm sorry. Let me just admit this person. Okay. Jeanette, can you tell me the answer to number 8, please, Jeanette?
4.
Number 4. Okay. Aren't I? Why not am I or actually why not number 1? Huh? Why not number 1? Kanish. No, wait. Jeanette is gonna speak. Yes, Jeanette, go ahead. Explain.
Because the IM is like positive.
It's positive. Very good. So it cannot be am again, right? So this is positive and this is in the be verb, right? So actually this is are, right? This is functioning as an are. Okay, so it's a be verb functioning as an are. So aren't I, right? The opposite of are is aren't. There is no there is no such thing as am't I. There's no such thing, right? So you have to convert it into a different form, right? In order to have it in the negative, right? I say again, you have to convert it into the negative form when it's am, because am does not have a negative form, right? So it must go into are before it becomes aren't. Okay, so there are a few steps here, but it seems simple, but not so simple. Okay, so please make sure you've highlighted this and notated that. Okay, number 9, has is the clue I would spot. And this is quite straightforward, right? So this is actually a present perfect form. Ryan, can you tell me the answer to this, please? Just 1, 2, 3, or 4? Sorry, Ryan. I think you are muted. Can you please unmute yourself and tell us the answer? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Ryan, can you hear me?
Option 4.
Option 4. Thank you very much. Yes, because this is the present perfect, right? So it's the perfect form. Remember, take, took, taken. Take is the simple present, took is the simple past, and taken is the perfect form. Take, took, taken, all right? Okay, so remember that the third form is always the perfect form, right? You imagine, right? Evolution, right? When you go first form, second form, third form is always the perfected form. Okay, so that's the perfect tense in that sense, right? So take, took, taken, run, ran, run, you know, that kind of stuff, right? So there are irregular and regular perfect forms. Okay, question number 10, kangaroos. Okay, Brian, can you give me the clue and the answer to this, please? Thank you. Let's just end it off.
The clues. What is the answer of clues first?
Just give me the clues first, then the answer. Yeah, that'd be good. Thank
The
you.
clues is all the kangaroos.
Okay, good. That's correct. Thank you.
And arrived.
Okay. Sorry, what? And arrived. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah,
Arrived.
arrived.
Yes. Arrived. Yes. So very good. So that's in the past form, right? So what's the answer? What did you describe as the answer?
Number 4, were.
Number 4. Okay. All the kangaroos were hopping towards the river. Very good. So do not get distracted by the but one, right? Because the but one is just a -1. But any number -1 is still a big number, right? So therefore, all the kangaroos were hopping towards the river. So I would say this is quite easy. Thank you very much, Brian. That's good. All right. Let's move on now to our grammar close, which is going to be a bit more challenging. Okay. But before that, can you please scribe out your scores upon 10, right? And then please take note of the mistakes that you may have made in this section. I would say that the permissible score for this particular difficulty level, right, is maybe about 8, right? I would say if you make 2 mistakes, I think it's still acceptable because of the level of difficulty. But by the time we get to PSLE, I hope that you would have scored 10 upon 10 for this section, okay, in terms of its difficulty level, right? All good. Did anybody score below 8? Please let me know later, okay? Then I will just try to look into your paper to see how I can help you improve. But 8, 9, or 10 should be the permissible section score for this. Okay, let's move on now to the grammar close, right? I hope I'm not moving too quickly for you. Okay, so this grammar close, right? I always remind all of you, when you are doing grammar close, right, don't just write the alphabet. Why? Because later when you want to check your answer, it's very difficult. You have to keep referring to the top. So try to write the word, right, together with the alphabet. That way, when you read the sentence, right, it's easier for you to check the validity of your answer. Okay, so that's it. So if you are one of those blessed people who do not get seasick, have a little consideration for those who do. The symptoms include nausea, dizziness, and headache. It's quite straightforward, right? This passage is not that difficult. What causes seasickness? Most people believe it is actually caused by their stomach. So they try not to eat. Okay, so let's just highlight the clues here. I'll do the first one, then y'all can do the next few ones. Most people believe, right, that what? Seasickness, and seasickness, it, right? Since it is not a person, I refer to it with the pronoun it, okay? Since it is a non-living thing, it's a concept, right? It is caused by their stomach. So they try not to eat all. Okay, let's have Clarissa, can you help us with question number 30? The clue and the answer.
Even. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Are you okay? Are you okay? Okay, which clue would you highlight before you give me the answer?
Think.
Think. Okay, so even think, right? So you don't even want to think about something, right? So it's like, it's quite extreme, right? You don't even think about it. You don't eat it. You don't even think about eating, right? So try not to eat or even think about food. Okay, very good. You have possibly heard of what? Of the cures involving food. Okay, so this one is quite deceptive, right? There's 2 offs. There are 2 offs bracketing the answer. But if you look at the possible answer, it should be quite straightforward. Joshua, would you like to try this? Tell me the clue and the answer.
Involving food, drink lots of water, eat dry bread, do not eat anything fatty.
Okay, yeah. So what's the answer?
Some.
Some, right? Because, like you mentioned, they are listing, right? So they are listing all the various possible cures that people think about. So involving food, drinking lots of water, eating dry bread, all of these are some of the cures, right? So more than one, therefore some. Very good. Thank you very much. Drink lots of water, eat dry bread, do not eat what? Fatty. So let's see. Ariel, would you like to try this next one, 32? Can you tell me what is the clue for question 32 and then tell me the answer? See whether it's correct or not.
The clue is do not eat.
Okay, do not eat and fatty, yes. Okay, and then what's the answer? You're correct.
C.
Okay, sorry?
C. Anything.
Anything. Okay, right. Okay, good. C, anything, right? Thank you, right? Very good. So do not eat anything fatty, right? It's quite straightforward, okay? And so on, right? Number 33 is a bit challenging because you need to know this particular phrase in order to know the answer. Dia, would you like to try it since you seem to know, right? What is it? In truth. Very good. Okay. In truth. Very good. In truth, because this is actually a phrase. Can you please highlight this? Right? Because these kinds of collocated words are often tested because they want to know whether you know these common phrases or not. So you must memorize them if you don't know them. All right. If you find that they are a little bit odd, please memorize them so that they will not be odd to you in the future. Okay, Solomon, did you raise your hand? Do you want to try the next one, is it? No. What? Do you have a question?
I want to ask a question about question 32.
32. Yes, what about it?
May I know why I cannot write something 30? L.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I can give you the answer very easily, but would somebody like to explain to Solomon why anything is better than something? Or in fact, why something is wrong? It's not just better, it's wrong. Okay, Dia, go ahead. You want to try? Yeah.
Is it that you want to stop feeling seasick? So you must quickly not do something like that. Do not. So
Okay.
anything makes.
Okay, so do not tells you nothing, right? Zero, right? Okay, so do not eat anything. That means nothing, do not eat anything means nothing. But you cannot say do not eat something. You get what I mean? The word do not already points you to the fact that something is not going to happen or not going to be eaten. In this case, do not eat anything, right? Nothing fatty. Anything that's fatty, don't eat. But if you say do not eat something fatty, then it's not clear enough that you are not going to eat anything. Solomon, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand the explanation? It must be complete. And the only word that expresses complete banning of all fatty things is the word anything. Do not eat anything. If you say do not eat something, then you may eat other things, right? Okay, so therefore it is not complete enough of a choice. Therefore, it cannot be something. It will be absolutely incorrect to write something. It's not even, can it be correct or not? All right, good. Let's try number 34. Ai-Cheng, could you help me with that, the clue and the answer, please? Very good. We are making good time, everybody. Well done. Ai-Cheng, go ahead. 34, clue and answer, please.
None of these.
Okay. In truth, none of these. What? I'm sorry? Can you give me the alphabet and the word? Alphabet and the word.
Q.
Okay, none of these will help. Okay, in truth, none of these will help. The explanation is that an upset stomach is only a symptom. Okay, so it's only a symptom. Okay, let's see. Can I have Angel give me the answer to question 35? I've already spotted the clue. Off. Okay, G, off seasickness, because seasickness is in fact caused by your ears. Okay, so it's not caused by your stomach, it's caused by your ears. The perpetual motion of by the way, you all know what is perpetual motion, right? Okay, perpetual motion means continuous without stopping. Okay, you have heard of perpetual motion machines, right? Machines that continue moving just after a little push to them, right? So it's something that continues on without stopping. So that perpetual movement of a boat upsets the part of your ears that looks, so this is another collocated phrase, right? And this is a verb that takes on another preposition. It's another phrasal verb collocation, okay? Let's see. Claire, would you like to try this? Just tell me the answer.
I put after.
Absolutely right. Thank you. Apart from the fact that it sounds right, okay? Apart from the fact that it sounds right now, Claire, can you explain to me why you put after? Was there any reason other than the fact that it sounded right? Claire, any other reason?
No.
No, okay. Anybody wants to take a stab at this? I know that it sounds right lah, okay? But besides sounding right, do you know the grammatical principle that lies behind the correct answer for looks after? Yes, Dia.
Is it like that the part of your ears is responsible for our balance?
Okay, so you're arguing from the principle of meaning, right? Look after being responsible for. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Okay, yeah, that's valid, correct. You're absolutely right. Look after is a phrasal verb that gives you the idea of being responsible for. It's a phrasal verb. Adrian, do you have a different interpretation?
I wanted to say that look after was a phrasal verb, but then you already said it, so.
Okay, you're absolutely right? It's a phrasal verb, right? It's not just looking after a person, it's like caring for, being responsible for, being in charge of, right? So this is actually a phrasal verb. So let's go ahead and scribe that in and write there that this is a phrasal verb, okay? So remember a phrasal verb, right? It's always a combination of a verb and a preposition, which has meanings that go beyond the original two words, right? In this case, look after, I don't just look and then I look after that person. I look after the person. No, I don't. I actually care for, am responsible for, I take charge of something, okay? So in this case, it is most definitely a phrasal verb, right? And the more you're exposed to in phrasal verbs, the more competent you will be in language, because phrasal verbs happen everywhere. And if you use them incorrectly, you can be very awkward, right, in your language expression and choice, right? So try to acquaint yourself with as many phrasal verbs as possible. They occur all over the place, right? Question 37. Can I have Clarice try this out, please? Can you tell me the clue and the answer? Question 37.
Then.
Very good. Excellent. Which one though? Is it N or P?
P.
P. Very good. Excellent. So I chose this question because there's a little bit of confusion between then and then. Okay, sorry. Give me a minute. Let me just... Okay, so I'll zoom in over here, okay? So I'll just make the difference. This one is always used for comparison, okay? He is bigger than me. Okay, this one is always used for time. Something happened, then something else happened. Okay, so always be very clear when you're using these two words that you don't use them incorrectly, right? THAN is always a comparison, and THEN is always a time-based or sequential-based preposition. Okay, so then something happened, a connector of sequence, then. Then THAN is always a word for comparison, right? Two things, right, are being compared when I talk about then, right? So let's get back to it. Very good. Thank you, everybody. We've come to the end of this section. And after this, editing and then synthesis, and we are done for the day. Okay, thank you very much. Good job. Okay, so let's go into this. Right, so when we look at a stationary object, and again, this is another one of those words that you want to be very careful of in terms of spelling, right? Let's put down here the other word that is always misspelled next to it, right? So this word means like your pens and pencils. Okay, and this word means to stand still. Okay, so always remember, when it's A, it's standing still. When it's E, it's being used in your writing. Okay, Dia, what is it?
I wanted to answer.
Oh, you want to answer question 38, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, well, looking at the
And
stationary object. Such as, very good. Such as the coastline.
It's as, and the coastline is an example.
Excellent, thank you. Right, exactly like. So, such as, okay, and as the coastline, okay. And this is again a collocated phrase, such as, right? Such as is a collocated phrase, and it gives you the meaning of an example, okay, or a point which illustrates the previous one. Okay, so stationary objects such as, in this case, the coastline illustrates the point of a stationary object. All right, excellent, everybody, good job. So again, please give yourself a nice little score over here, okay, so that you tabulate what you have managed to do. Okay, and then let's move on to the next section. Am I going too fast? Are you okay? All good. Give me a thumbs up if I can move on, please. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right, let's go. Go fast, huh? This one very easy. This one very fast one. Okay. Won't take us very long. There won't be very much in terms of explanation. Okay, let's do all the spelling ones first. Okay, let's skip all the grammar and let's do all the spelling. 39. Shani, can you spell annually for me, please?
ANNUALLY.
Thank you. Double N, double L. Perfect. Thank you very much. Double N, double L. All good. So please remember, in editing, right, PSLE loves to choose words that have doubling of letters, right? Especially doubles. So go onto the internet, right? Just Google words that have double consonants, right? And then you have a list of those words. Go and review them, right? So any of these words are fair game. They can test you on it, but I've noticed a pattern. They always love these kind of double consonants words. So go and look at it. Okay, let's skip 40 because 40 is not a spelling word. Okay, skip 41, 42. This is very easy, delight. Let's see. Can I have who have I not called? No, Dia, I don't want to call you. Gabriel, go.
Unscrupulous.
Gabriel, were you listening to me? I told you to skip question 40, 41, and I'm now at 42. We are doing only the spelling words. Are you focused and listening to me? I should hope you are. Please spell delight.
DELIGHT.
Thank you. All right. Let's skip 43 because that's also not a spelling word. Okay, let's go to 44. Decline. Okay. Javier, can you spell the decline for me, please? Javier?
ECLI.
Can you repeat that again?
DECLINE.
Thank you. Decline. Okay. DECLINE. All right. Let's skip 45 because that's also not a spelling word. Let's go to 46. Practical. Jafina, can you spell practical for me, please?
PRACTICAL.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay. Question 47. Let's skip because that's also not a spelling word. 48. Exposing. Kanishk. Not working. Just plug out your microphone and use your laptop's built-in speaker.
EXPOSING.
Thank you. Exposing. EXPOSING. Thank you very much. Okay, 49 no, and then 50 corrective. Corrective.
Mr. Bang, I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, what is it,
For
dear?
exposing instead of the S, if we put a Z, is it American?
There's no. That exposing is not spelled with a Z in American English either. That's just a straight out wrong spelling.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no Z for exposing in American English. No, it's still S. Okay, right. Let's get back to okay, Nicholas, finish up corrective.
CORRECTIVE.
Thank you. Perfect. All right. So all good, The spelling is quite easy, right, for this one. Let's go back and let's finish up the grammar. Let's just line it up. Javen, can you do for us question 40, please? This is quite easy, right? What should be the answer? Just tell me the answer. Don't need to spell. Can you repeat again? Javen?
Unscrupulous.
Unscrupulous. Thank you. Unscrupulous. So you just remove the ly, right? Okay. Question 41, overloaded ships were is the clue here, right? Yes. Let's have Genevieve. Can you answer question 41, please?
Allowed.
Thank you. Spelled with the ED, right? Okay, good. Question 43, could claim generous insurance payout the loss of the ship? 43 is a little bit more difficult. Okay, Solomon, try.
For
Okay, they could claim for something, right? They claim the loss for, they claim the payout for the loss of something. Very good, for. Excellent. Let's have Dia. Okay, you do 45 then, Dia.
Legally.
Legally. How do you spell legally?
Legally.
LLY, double L, right? Very good. See, notice again the doubling of the letters, right? They like to test you on this kind of spelling and grammar. Okay. Gabriel, you raised your hand just now, right? Would you like to try 47?
Indicating.
Thank you very much. That's absolutely correct. Perfect. Indicating. Notice that usually, right, only verbs in the ing form can start a phrase or a sentence, right? Usually only verbs in the ing form can start a phrase or a sentence. Otherwise, other verbs cannot one. Okay? Next, 49. 49. Let's have Irina, all the way from China. Come, answer question 49, please, Irina.
1.
1, very good. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Irina. All right, excellent. We are done with editing. We are only left with 5 more questions, and then we are done for the day. Then I'll give you instructions on what to do next, okay? Right? Again, I thank you all for taking this hour, and I thank you for giving me your focus. I know it's not easy. Some of you are traveling, some of you are overseas, some of you are in cars and other transportations, but you're still making a point to be online. I really appreciate this, and I thank you for this. But I also want you to know I'm fully committed to you. That's why I've sacrificed my mornings from Monday to Friday to help you. So let's both work hard at this, okay? So we improve ourselves, and we are a little bit more confident and ready when we step into term 2. Okay, here's a little duck for all of you, okay? Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the duck. I don't know who drew this here, but I thank you for drawing it, right? Quack is the word, right? Quack is the word of the day. Okay, let's move on. Okay, question number 66. Okay, which brave soul would like to attempt question 66 from start to finish? Okay, Dia, go ahead. Nicholas can do 67, okay? Just read us the answer and tell us how you got to it, please.
Okay. Thinking that no one was in the office, the caretaker locked the door.
Tell us how you got to it.
Because he thought no one was in the office, so the thought is thinking that here. So no one was in the office follows, and then comma, the caretaker locked the door because it was the cause of
Okay, so the cause was the fact that nobody was in the office. The effect was the fact that the caretaker locked up the door, right?
There's a comma in between.
Yeah, and there's a comma in between to denote the fact that the connector is in the front. Remember our rule, connector is in the front, the comma takes its place, right? That's rule number 3. Okay, very good. Absolutely correct. Okay. Let me just highlight a few things. No one was in the office. This is cause, right? Right, then therefore the caretaker locked the door. This is the effect. Okay, very good. It's a cause and effect connector, and the comma is over here because of the connector in front, right? Okay, there's a sequential separation. Okay, separation of sequence, right? Therefore, the comma also functions to tell you something happened first, then followed by a something happening next. Okay, cause and effect. Okay, very good. Nicholas, can you try 67? Skylar can try 68.
I would prefer eat a banana cake than drink a cup of papaya milk.
Wow, spectacularly wrong, Nicholas. Well done. Our first spectacular mistake of the day. Okay, I would prefer eat a banana cake. Okay, whatever you say. Can you say that again, please, Nicholas, so that we can dissect your mistake? It's fine, no problem.
I would prefer eat a banana cake than drink a cup of papaya milk.
Okay, so let me just correct Nicholas's mistakes. Then I'll call one of you to answer the correctly. Yeah. So prefer always goes with what? Prefer to. You never use prefer with than. What goes with than? Would rather. Would rather than, prefer to. Right? So in this case, don't mix them up. They are partnered together for a reason. So cannot be then. You have to remove the then. Second of all, whenever you see the word prefer, right, you must change the verb. Right? The verb cannot remain in its base form. You must change the verb. The verb cannot remain in its base form. I say that again. So number one, would rather than, prefer to, that's your first error. Number two, your verbs were not transformed. They must be transformed whenever you see prefer. Okay? Now, Jairus, come, let's try your answer. Go ahead.
I prefer eating banana cake to drinking a cup of papaya milk.
Okay, very close, very close. Can you repeat your answer again so I make sure you are incorrect? Try again, Jairus.
I prefer eating a banana cake to drinking a cup of papaya milk.
Now you are correct. Do you know what was the difference between your first answer and your second answer? Jairus, what's your difference? What was the edit that you made?
I made an edit.
You did. Your first answer was different from your second answer. Did you notice that?
Was?
The rest of you, did you notice the difference? Yes. Can anyone tell me what was the difference? Okay, let's have Solomon. What was the difference that Jairus made?
He didn't say the word would.
Huh?
He never said the word would.
You're absolutely wrong, Solomon.
No.
Go away. Thank you. Sorry, I don't mean that literally. Skylar, yes, go ahead.
For his first answer, you said eat banana cake.
Yes. And then, second answer?
After he said eat a banana cake.
Yes, very good. You must always remember the article. The article always gets left behind. The and the, you always leave out, no? Because you think that it's not important, but it's very important. Because a banana cake and banana cake is a different meaning, you know? You change the meaning, the whole thing is wrong. A banana cake is that specific piece of banana cake. Banana cake is just generally all banana cakes in existence, right? So you have to be very careful, okay, Jairus? The cost you 2 marks. In this case, that small little a literally cost you 2 marks. So you must be very careful in your response. Okay, Jairus, got it?
I wrote A. I put
I know, but when you said it without You see? It's very important. Whether you write or say something, you must always be precise. Because that one little thing that you omit could cost you dearly. Especially next time when you all do contract law, and you go outside and you do, legal documents, one little jot or tittle that you leave out could mean the difference between $1 million and nothing, right? So be very careful and precise with your language use, please. Yes, Gabriel, what is it? Do you want to try the next one, is it?
I want to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why can't we write over rather than to?
Oh, okay. Give me a minute. Let me write the answer first and I'll explain to you, okay? Good question. Wait, I prefer eating a banana cake, and I'll answer Gabriel's question shortly. Over, okay? So a banana cake, please highlight this word because you all have a tendency to leave out your indicators, your articles. So a banana cake to drinking a cup of papaya milk. Okay, so that's fine. Otherwise, Jairus is absolutely correct. Okay, and then please highlight the verbs eating and the verbs drinking. Okay, because when you see prefer, right, usually when the verb is involved, you always ing it. Okay, right. I will explain why it is not over. Okay, why is it not over? Because of the word prefer, right? So again, I remember the principle of collocation. Whenever you use the word prefer, right? I prefer something to something else. But when do I use over? I use over when I use the word choose. I choose something over something else. So it's the same now. Would rather than, prefer to, choose over. I cannot confuse them. Then it becomes incoherent in the sense that the connector is no longer collocated, right, with the preposition. The collocation is very important, right? There are certain phrases that are just meant to be used together. Don't ask me why. Who came up with the rules? I also don't know. It just happens to be that way, right? And therefore, we abide by those rules because it's commonly held. It's a universally held rule, right? I was just reading this fascinating book called Frindle, right? Where this boy creates a word and gets everybody to use that word. And then after like a few years, right, that word gets entered into a dictionary, right? That's the beauty of the English language. It's not static. It changes over time. But until it changes, right, you cannot just use a word that's not in the dictionary and expect people to all understand you. They won't, right? It's common usage, right? Gabriel, I hope this kind of answers your question. Are you okay, Gabriel? Do you need me to explain a little bit more? Gabriel, you okay? Okay,
I'm
okay, all
okay.
right. I take it that you're okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so choose something over something else, prefer something to something else. These are collocated phrases. All right, thank you. Okay, who's next? Skylar, is it?
The sight of his neighbor's house being on fire shocked Willie.
Incorrect. Incorrect. Can you repeat that again for everybody to hear so that we can examine your answer?
The sight of his neighbor's house being on fire shocked Willie.
The sight of his neighbor's house being on fire shocked Willie. Correct? Is that what you're saying? So incorrect, right? There are a number of mistakes, okay? There are a number of mistakes, but thank you so much for giving us a good mistake to dissect. Again, this is a good mistake, okay? Let's see. Okay, Nicholas?
The sight of Willie's neighbor's house on fire shocked him.
Okay, the sight of Willie's neighbor's house on fire shocked him. That is correct. So let's write down the correct answer first. Yes, Dia, what is it?
I had another answer.
Go ahead.
The sight of his neighbor's house on fire shocked Willie.
Okay. The answer between Dia and Nicholas is extremely close. But what's the difference? And which one is correct? Or are both correct? Let's discuss. How many of you think that both of them are correct? By the way, you all know the difference, right? The word Willie is the difference, right? Okay? The sight of Willie's neighbor's house on fire shocked him. And then that was Nicholas's answer. Dia's answer was the sight of his neighbor's house on fire shocked Willie. And Skylar's answer was the sight of his neighbor's house being on fire, which is wrong because of the word being, right? Because the house the house has no being. The house is not an individual. It cannot be something, right? It has no identity, right? So it cannot be being on fire. The sight of, that was the mistake, okay? So you all agree, those of you who raise hands, you all agree that both are correct, Okay, good. How many of you believe that Dia's is correct and that Nicholas's is wrong? Please lower your hand so that the others can raise their hands. Thank you. Okay. Dia correct, Nicholas wrong. Okay. How many say Nicholas correct, Dia wrong? Okay, right? So it seems to me like the majority of you, at least the rest of you who don't put an opinion, those who voted, seems a majority of you think both are correct, right? Both are correct. Let me tell you, in PSLE, this question will never occur. It will never occur. Why? Because they don't want to put the name there. They will put, Willie will become he. He was shocked to see his neighbor's house on fire. Precisely to avoid this kind of conjecture. Okay, it will never happen. In PSLE, it will never happen like this. It will always be he and his. So it's very clear. You just need to use one pronoun to replace everything. But if this question were to appear in PSLE, then Nicholas would be correct. Okay, so let me just write down Nicholas's correct answer. Then let's explain to you why. I think Kanish also wants to explain, right? So let me give the answer first. The sight of Willie's neighbor's house on fire shocked him. Okay, now there's no comma, because the side of is not a connector. So there's no need to put a comma in the middle, right? Remember, there is no comma when there is no connector. Moving to the front. Kanish, yes, go ahead.
He and Willie supposed to be interchangeable.
Sorry? Repeat your question. Kanish, repeat your question, please.
Isn't Willie and him supposed to be interchangeable?
No, it's not. That's what I'm going to explain. That's exactly what I'm going to explain now. Okay? Why is it that Willie must be here? This has to do with what I taught you before on main and subordinate clauses. Can you remember main and subordinate clauses? Right? A main clause is a clause that can stand by itself. A subordinate clause is a clause that cannot stand by itself. So shocked him, right, is a subordinate clause. The site of Willie's neighbor's house on fire is the main clause. So the subject, Willie, must always follow the main clause of the sentence. Do you all get it? Okay? But in PSLE, they will not test you because the synthesis is not meant to test whether you can recognize which is the main and which is the subordinate clause. So it will not happen in PSLE, I guarantee you that. All right? You won't need to worry about it. But in this case, they tested you because this paper is more difficult than PSLE lah, right? So they're trying to push the limits. But don't worry, this will never be tested. It will just be he. Then it will be very simple. The sight of his neighbor's house on fire shocked him. Then it becomes very simple. There's no more debate about where Willie should go. Do you all get what I mean? Right? So in PSLE, it will be like that. Okay? In PSLE, there will never be a Willie and a his. It will just be he and his. Okay? Yes, Dia?
Yes, sir. But like, can you just exactly say when this rule applies? Because you know, much to, because questions like that, much to his exasperation, Willie's house was on fire or something like that.
Okay, much,
So,
let's write that down so that everybody can see. Much to his exasperation, comma, Willie's house was on fire. Correct, Dia? Correct, huh? So, explain to me what is the issue here. This is correct, by the way. This is correct, huh?
yeah. So here we put the his first and then we put Willie's. So in this question, why can I put his neighbor's house first and Willie's second?
Okay, it's not about first and second, huh? Remember, I didn't teach you must always put the subject first, huh? That's not what I taught you. I taught you that the subject must always follow the main clause and not the subordinate clause. And I also taught you how to determine which is the main clause and which is the subordinate clause. The main clause is the clause that can stand by itself. That means it's not dependent on another sentence. It can stand by itself. So if I take your example here, right, it's very clear, right? Much to his exasperation cannot stand by itself. If I just say to someone much to his exasperation, the person will go on, finish the sentence, right? But if I say Willie's house was on fire, it can indeed stand by itself. Willie's house is on fire. Willie's house was on fire. It's a clearly coherent sentence that can stand by itself. So the subject always follows the more coherent sentence. It's not first or second. You get what I mean? It could happen in the beginning. It could happen at the end. You can say Willie's house was on fire, comma, much to his exasperation. It doesn't matter. Whichever comes first or second is not the point. The point is which sentence can stand on its own is where the subject must always be slotted. Do you all understand? The rest of you understand, huh? The sentence, if you don't know, right, you read it back to yourself, right? The sentence can stand by itself. Okay, that's the main sentence. The sentence, you read it back to yourself, something is missing. That is the subordinate or dependent clause, right? A subordinate or dependent clause is one that must attach itself to another clause, or else it will die. It's like a parasite, right? It's like a moray eel, right? It must attach itself to the base of a shark, right? Otherwise, if the shark just like swipes it off, right, it will die. Okay, yes, Shani?
Okay, thank you.
Is no sooner had Mrs. Ang drank her tea. Is
Drunk
that
her
a
tea, not drank.
subordinate?
Yeah, drunk.
Is that a subordinate clause or a main clause?
Okay, no sooner had Mrs. Heng drunk her tea than the doorbell rang, right? there's no question about it because there's no pronoun. What? Mrs. Heng can only go to one place. What? You get what I mean? There's no other place for Mrs. Heng to go, right? This only occurs when there are 2 slots for the subject to go to. And then you are determining which one to put pronoun, which one to put subject. Then you look at whether it is the main clause or the subordinate clause. Do you get what I mean, Shani? Right? So in your example, it doesn't work because there's only 1 slot. So Mrs. Heng can only go to that slot. Okay? No sooner had Mrs. Heng drunk her tea than the doorbell rang. You can't put the doorbell, you can't put Mrs. Heng with the doorbell. Right? It doesn't work. Okay? Clarice, question?
Can I put the site to see Lily's neighbor's house was on fire shorthand?
Cannot. The site to see is you're adding additional information already. You cannot add in something that's not in the original sentence. Remember, the meaning cannot change. That's like synthesis rule number 1. The site to see cannot. To see is already redundant because the site is already something you see. What? So when you say the site to see, you're adding additional redundant or irrelevant information. You get it, Clarice? Cannot add. Right? Unless it is something that's required by the question, then you can add. In this case, the site already carries to see. So you cannot put to see. Straight away wrong already. Okay? All the other things after that is not important. The to see is what makes it wrong. Okay, Clarice? Did you get it? Okay, so everybody else, same thing. When we do synthesis, remember the 5 synthesis rules, right? Meaning cannot change, tense cannot change, connector moves to the front, comma takes its place, the answer should always be shorter than the question, and then, you delete all repeated occurrences of the subject and replace it with pronouns. Okay, so these are the 5 main rules. They govern all synthesis questions, and we must always keep them in the back of our minds. Otherwise, we'll tend to make mistakes, right? Because it's a very, very strict, and like I told you, I don't like this section. Right? It's a very, very unfair section. One mistake you make, like just now Jairus says, one little A, can decimate your entire question. Right? I don't think it's fair and I don't like it. But too bad, we have to live with it until one day, a more enlightened, SEAB rises up and removes this section and gives us a more fair result. Okay, but for now, we work within the limits of the examination. Right? No point complaining also. Question 60. Which brave soul would like to bring us into landing here? I'm sorry that I exceeded the time already, but the explanations were good. The discussions were productive. Thank you very much. Solomon, 69, go.
William's sincerity convinced the president to help the less privileged. The
Thank you.
president has to be a capital letter to P.
Thank you. Yes, P for president. Excellent. William's sincerity. All right. And please check that you have spelled the word sincerity correctly. All right. Convinced the president, and you correctly mentioned that president is a proper noun, therefore must be capitalized to help the less. I'm not going to go through this because it's very easy. Okay, privilege, please spell correctly. Okay, there's no D in privilege. Okay, very good. The less privileged. Excellent. And question 70, to bring us into a nice close. Who would like to volunteer for this? I will not arrow anyone. You all just volunteer. Adrian, go.
Unless there are enough students, the class will not commence.
Unless there are enough students. Unless it's always a negative connector, right? So you must insert a not somewhere. The class will not commence. Okay, thank you. Yes, dear.
Where do I put not and where do I not put not?
Okay. When is it always that I insert a not? Is that what you're asking me?
No.
No.
Can't I put unless there are not enough students, the class will commence. Like that. When do I put the not and when do I not put the not? Like where do I put?
So you're saying unless there are not enough students. Unless there are enough, sorry, I left out the word students here. Sorry. Unless there are not enough students, the class will commence.
Yeah.
But you realize that there's something logically compromised about that response, right?
No, I put the correct answer, but then I'm asking you, like in other questions, if it makes sense, where do I put the not?
So like you correctly mentioned, right? It has to make sense. So if it makes sense, then you can put the not. But in this case, it doesn't make sense because nobody will determine whether a class begins by the fact that there are not enough students. They always determine whether a class begins by the how many students there are going to be enough of. It's never going to be not enough. It's always going to be enough. Do you get what I mean? It's a logical thing. Nobody runs a class by looking at the minimum number, always the maximum number. Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to think about which other example? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So
Don't have
maybe
an example.
I would say not really. I don't think there's ever a possibility. Let me try to construct one for you. Unless I'm sure you can see that there is something wrong with it, right? Okay. Cannot lah, right? Because nobody looks at the fact that there are no participants. People always look at what is enough, never at what is not enough. So it should be, unless there are participants, we will not commence the program. Okay, so the word unless always pushes the negative to the end. All right, never at the beginning. All right, so the answer I would say is no. You never put the not in front. You always put the not at the back. Right, in all foreseeable examples, I can see this. Nicholas, yes?
Thank you.
Oh no, I just wanted to ask, if you put there are not enough students, will PSLE still mark you wrong?
Yes, it will mark you wrong. Because it's a
Okay.
logical fallacy, right? You cannot look at something happening when there is not enough people. You know what I mean? It's just illogical. The sentence should not be constructed in that manner, right? Even though grammatically there's nothing wrong with the sentence, meaning-wise, right, it's compromised, right? Remember, first synthesis rule is the meaning of what you're trying to communicate cannot change, but it's compromised when you change the structure in such a manner, okay? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to stop us here, and because the time is a bit exceeded already, right? I understand that some of you need to go for other programs, but this is my value add and challenge to all of you, okay? For those of you who can, right? Can you try? Okay, so this is additional homework. Can you try to do the comprehension closed passage here, right? And the vocabulary MCQ, right? So I will put the additional work for you all here and I will send it out, okay? As an assignment. So this is additional. This is not compulsory. This is additional practice, okay? Right? If you are able to, so that you don't waste this paper, can you complete? Yeah.
I accidentally did the visual text.
Sorry? What?
I accidentally did the visual text because I thought it texted also the visual text in the.
Oh, no. I didn't, but it's fine. It's okay. Anyway, yeah, if you can, right, complete the entire paper, right? I will send out the work solutions for everything. But if you cannot, right, just try to do these few sections, right? The vocabulary MCQ, right? And then the, can you try to do the comprehension closed passage? Okay. And the comprehension open-ended, okay? So if you can, right, do the whole paper. If you cannot, right, just do these sections, and then I will send out my work solution by the end of today, so y'all can refer to it and then mark these sections, because I won't have time to go through, right? I'm prioritizing grammar, right? Then tomorrow, right, I will go through verbs, right? But today, right, at the end of today, like those of you who are free, who can stay behind, right, I will do a bit of an overview on tenses, right? I'll just review some of the tenses that are, covered by using some space. I don't know where, okay? I'll find some space on this paper. Then I'll do the tenses with all of you as a review, okay? But as far as today's exercise is concerned, the 1 hour is up, right? I've already completed the practice with all of you. The minimum has been achieved. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some tenses, the tense forms. And so you're familiar and you are all revised up with the tense form. So please take a piece of paper or, you can use the PhD paper 11 at the back. There's some blank space, right? Just use that. I don't care anywhere, but take this down. If you don't think you need any review on the tenses, you can leave now with my blessings, right? Thank you for attending, right? But if you want to stick around, then I will go through some review on tenses with all of you. Okay, Ken? Right? Thank you. I'll give the others a minute. Right? If you feel that you're okay, you can go ahead. Right? Otherwise, I want to review the main tenses, right? So that we're all familiar with it. Remember, tomorrow, same time, same channel. Okay, right. Thank you all for sticking around with me. Let me find some empty space. I don't know where. Okay, I'll just insert a page. Okay, but y'all find some space, okay? I'll just insert a page. Give me 1 minute. Okay, excellent. Right. So a lot of the questions you will realize in the grammar MCQ, as well as in your editing and your grammar closer, all have to do with tenses one, right? So your ability to navigate the tenses and use them appropriately will impact different sections of your paper, okay? So I thought I would just do a very quick overview of tenses again, their functions and their forms, okay? So I'm going to talk about function and form. Okay, I will just build a quick tense tree, right? So verbs are the only words in the English language that carry tense. And the word tense simply means an expression of time, right? So how you use tense affects how your reader views time, right? So when someone reads your work, right, or reads your sentence, right, you can manipulate their perspective by using different tense words, right? So it's like time travel, basically. You can make them travel in your story forward and backward, right? Sequentially or non-sequentially through the use of tense, right? So this is grammar. This is also writing, right? Best writers in the world are masters of tenses, right? Why? Because all events in their stories are tied together very well by the use of tenses, right? So tenses are broken down into 3 main categories and then 3 broader subcategories, right? Okay. Now, simple tenses can come in simple past and simple present. Okay. And for simple present, we already know that this has to do with facts and habits, right? Right? I am a boy. I will always be a boy. It's a habitual factual thing, right? The sun rises in the east, right? I like ice cream, right? It's something that does not change. It's habitual or it's factual, right? Or it's a statement of opinion, right? In the case of past, it's a little bit more tricky, right? It is an indeterminate, indefinite past. Can happen anytime in the past, but it is often also used in conjunction with continuous. It is used to express a fixed point in time in relation to a continuous activity, right? So it is always fixed in its format. For example, I was eating when the doorbell rang, right? The doorbell rang, simple past tense, right? So the doorbell rang one definite point in time during an indefinite continuous action of me eating. I was eating, right? Indefinite, right? Very broad range of time. And then one particular fixed point, the doorbell rang, that point in time. So simple past is used to fix or anchor a particular point in time in the middle of an indefinite period of time. Okay, so it can happen in indefinite past, and it is a fixed point when it's used together with the continuous tense. So, which brings me to continuous, right? So continuous, again, the past continuous form always talks about an indefinite period in the past, okay? It happened during a period of time. Whereas the present continuous refers to something which is happening right now. So there's a difference. When I use the continuous in the past, it always refers to a period of time, right? Something happening over a period of time. When I use the continuous in the present, right, I'm actually reporting something that's happening right now. It's happening right now. All right, it's still going on. It's ongoing. Okay. So there's a difference in usage between past and present continuous tenses that you must be very aware of, right? So whenever you have two events happening, one after another, or one happening while another is happening, right, it is usually the past form. Because only in the past do you have a fixed point in the middle of an indefinite period. If I'm talking about something that's happening right now, I'm usually using the present continuous tense, okay? Right, he is having his lunch. He is eating now. He is driving. Right? Please don't interrupt him. He is eating. Please don't interrupt him. He is eating, is driving, right? So present continuous tense refers to a immediate and ongoing act that's going on right now. Perfect. Now, perfect is very, very tricky. Okay, so past perfect. Deals with something that is just past. He had eaten. He had just eaten. I'm sorry. What am I saying? That's present. Okay. That's present. Sorry, I apologize. Okay, that's just past. Okay. Present continuous. Present perfect, ironically, is not present. Present perfect, ironically, it refers to something that's just past. He has eaten. Has eaten, even though it's present perfect, refers to something that has already happened. It just happened. He has eaten. Have you eaten? I have eaten, meaning finished already, right? Over, but it's in the present. So it's ironic, right? It shouldn't be in the present, but for some reason, the present perfect is always used to express something that has just happened in the immediate past, okay? Whereas the past perfect, right, ironically, has got nothing to do with the past. It's got to do with sequence, right? So by the time I arrived, he had eaten. So it is always the first of two past events. Okay, so by the time I arrived, he had eaten. Eating happened first, then arriving. Right? It is the first event that happens in a sequence of two events, and both of these events happen sometime in the past. We don't know when, right? No definite point in time. By the time I arrived, he had eaten. By the time the sun set, they had set up the camp. Had set up. Okay, so had set up happened, then the sun set. All right, so it's two events happening close to each other, and therefore like this. Then there is the combination between the continuous and the perfect. Okay, so again, past continuous perfect. Had been drinking. Okay, this is the most tricky one now, okay? And then present continuous perfect. Has been drinking. Okay, this one, thankfully, is related to each other. It's just a matter of whether it's happening in the past or in the present, and it's always to do with duration. Okay, so you will have things like by the time, since, before, after. Okay, all of these words will occur in a sentence that indicates to you that this tense is being used. So for example, by the time I arrived, they had been drinking for 2 hours, or they had been eating for 2 hours. Okay, or they have been drinking for, or they have been eating for 2 hours, right? That's a very long time. Or after this, I will go somewhere else. Okay, they have been eating. So this has to do with the duration. They have been eating for how long, right? Or there's this idea about something happening during that duration of time. All clear, everybody? Quite straightforward, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. These are basically 99% of the tenses that are used in the English language. There are some weird ones out there, but you don't need to worry about that. They're not going to be tested, right? But these are the general ones. If you understand how they work and you know how to look out for them, right, then you will not be fooled into using the wrong one. Okay, so you notice everything is present, past. You must think in terms of past and present. Then the question is, what about future? Actually, strictly speaking, there's no such thing as a future tense. Right? There's no such thing as a future tense. Why that is the case? What does it tell us about our brains? That's an interesting study. You all can go and study neurolinguistics next time and think about why the human brain doesn't have the capacity to conceptualize future time. That's why we don't have a grammatical function to describe future time. We have to add on a word like will or shall. Okay? May. All these are modals, right? They represent differing degrees of certainty. Why? Because we cannot conceptualize of a future that is fixed. There are too many variations. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So we use modals to determine how certain we are that something might happen, right? Will being the strongest and may being one of the weaker ones, right? So I'm predicting a future using a modal, but the tense I use is the present tense, right? So that's pretty interesting, right? So I will eat. I shall eat. I may eat. I can eat. All of these are tied to a present tense verb. Okay, so the differing degrees of certainty are the best that we can do when we express future tense, right? So in a sense, future tense is not a thing. It's not really correct to call it future tense because there is no such concept in the English language. Words do not take on the future tense. They do take on the past tense, they do take on the present tense, but there is no form for future tense. We have to tack on modals to do that, right? So that again gives you a lot of insight into how the human brain works. We are very certain about the past. We are fairly certain about the present, but we have no inkling and no ability to predict the future. Therefore, our language reflects that. So it's pretty cool, pretty interesting. Those of you who want to study, right, why this is so and how the brain is structured, how we express ourselves in terms of time, and the way we express ourselves in time, how that changes perspective, that's an entire university level kind of a course already, okay? But for you, primary school students, all you need to understand is how tenses work in the past, the present, and how you express future time by using modals. Okay, Ken? Any questions? That was my very short 15-minute tutorial on tenses. And you all should be confident of all the tenses that are on this page. Okay? You all should have no questions about it. Okay? If you are done, if you are happy with it, if you've got no questions, then this is my mini tutorial come to an end. Tomorrow, I will go into other forms of verbs besides tenses. Okay? But tenses are the heart of English. So I'm spending a lot of time with tenses in grammar. Okay? Thank you, everybody, for your time. If you have no questions and you're all good, I will post this recording up for future reference in case you all need to revisit any of the concepts. Okay? Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Right. Bye.
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 Bye. Irina, before you go, can you tell me which part of China you're in? Huh? Zhejiang. Okay. Enjoy yourself. I hope it's not too cold there.
Very cold.
It's very cold, right? Yeah, okay. Take care of yourself. Bundle up. Don't get sick, okay? Yeah, enjoy yourself there. Oh no. I'm sorry to hear that.
On Friday.
Take lots of vitamin C, right? Yeah, I'm sure that you know what to do. Okay, take care of yourself, Get well, okay? If you're not well, if you're not feeling well, please don't attend the lesson. You can always watch the recordings, okay? Yeah, rest up, sleep in, take care of yourself. Okay, everybody, bye. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Okay, Ariel, you're the last one.
Chào Mr. Pang, bye.
Bye. Bye.